Welcome back to the Atlanta REALTORS Rundown, your premier podcast on all things real estate. I'm your host, Neel Midha, here to bring you all the latest insights and success stories in real estate and all things beyond. I'm really excited about today's episode because Karen and I get to introduce the two new hosts to the Atlanta REALTORS Rundown, Andy Payne and Helen Archer.
Hi.
Hi. So Andy, why don't you start first and just introduce yourself?
So my name is Andy Payne. I am a broker now for a brand here in the city. I've been in real estate about 8 years and have always gone towards that management staff side while maintaining production as well. And now I've given up production and I'm just into management. But I live in Marietta. I've got a wife. I have two boys that I'm hoping will be fully grown at some point.
It happens.
Right? I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, right? That's me.
That's great. Helen?
My name is Helen Archer. I have been a realtor for this year will be 20 years. Can you believe it?
Wow.
And so I am a mother of twins. And
Yay. Look at that.
Yes.
Us too.
Yes, right?
Yeah.
Another twin mom.
I've known Helen a long time, y'all.
Yes.
She's
Wait
a
super
minute.
dope too.
So
Yes.
What happened to you, Andy? No twins?
I'm slacking, I guess. I don't know.
We should have been more careful in our selection of guests, of hosts, clearly.
And I live in Smyrna, and I have a small team, small but mighty.
That's right.
And a team of just one person and me and our assistant. And again, I've been doing this for a long time. I speak Spanish and Portuguese, so my niche in real estate really is international clients. And I'm super excited to be joining as a host this year and be with you guys.
And y'all, they're being really humble about their experience. You are going to be in for a treat this year. These are some rock stars in the industry. They have been killing it. They have a lot of time and experience in. So I am really excited for you all to bring and add value to the show. We've got brokers, how to grow a team, how to get longevity in the business. We got luxury. We've got, global. It's really, really cool. So, I just want to, what's the unique thing that you guys are going to be able to bring to the show?
Well, I think especially in the market we're in, it's all about mindset and the attitude that you apply yourself to. And in the market we're in, as a lot of realtors unfortunately are leaving the industry, I think those of us who are still in the business, we need to stick together. We all have, especially here at Atlanta REALTORS Association, we have an amazing group of professionals, and you have to just lean in. You told me that, and that stuck in my head, and you have to lean in because sometimes we feel so lonely out there, and this is a lonely business. And so I think this year it's really about bringing mindset, attitude, and really putting it all in. But we have that community in here, so we just need to lean in and have our tribe here.
That's right. The realtor family is so special. It has gotten me through some of the hardest times of my life, even becoming a first-time mom and being a realtor. And I've just been able to rely on the community and the people here showing up for meetings every day and talking to other moms. When I met Helen years ago, and she was like, I have twins too. And hers were a little bit older than mine. And I was like, oh my gosh. And she just reassured me
it gets
hey,
easier.
You can get through this. It gets easier.
It gets easier.
And so
Yes.
that encouragement is everything.
Yes, absolutely.
So for me, one thing I really want to dive into this year, one thing that I'm passionate about is coaching.
Awesome.
Being coached, why you need a coach. No one, to Helen's point, no one has this figured out, right? And you brought up something on your intro earlier in last year that the knowledge here at ARA, the ability to, not some kind of formal coaching program. I shouldn't say coaching. I should say like learning, mentoring, all that knowledge, all these people that you can hang around here, past presidents, all people that are doing different kinds of business than you, people that have completely different models than you. You can learn from all these people, and that's the power of the association. But also, the coaching aspect of it, I'm really interested too. I've got 2 coaches lined up that do things completely differently that I'm going to interview. That's just one of my passions. And then the other thing, you kind of brought up luxury, right? The way prices are now, we're all in luxury. Luxury, one of the loose definitions of luxury is like 2.5 times your average sales point, your sales price, right? That's not hard to get to what we would consider 3 years ago luxury, right?
True.
An $800,000 flip.
Yeah.
Or an $800,000 starter home. You've got to treat all your clients, all your sellers and your buyers with that luxury mindset, because they're spending a lot of money and they expect a lot from us.
Yeah.
And I think that's where some, improvement can be made by a lot of agents as far as their mindset.
And you don't have to be in a luxury company
That's
to
right.
to
No,
give luxury service.
definitely
It's a
not.
luxury is
Love
a
that.
service.
Talk about like
Oh my gosh, say it again.
Luxury is a service.
Yes.
And you don't have to be in a luxury company to what?
Provide luxury service.
Totally.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. I'm so excited about this show.
Like learning, I'll hear some amazing thing that somebody did at closing and from some other brand or some other part of the city, whatever. And I'm like, yes, that
Yeah.
is perfect,
love it.
So yeah, it really is the experience that we deliver. And for what we, as realtors, what we are compensated for, part of that is this smooth, nice process, advice,
Yeah.
things that people felt like they had to have a lot of money to access. But we can give that to everyone,
But just to add to that, I think that's why the association is so great.
Right.
Because obviously in your brokerages, you've got a lot of people who are the same industry, looking at the same type of clients and customers. And yet, when you come to any of the committee meetings, when you come to any of the events that are being held, you've got people that deal with clients from all the different areas, all the different types of industry, all the different types of skill sets. And the sharing of knowledge there, as you said, every day you're looking at picking up things, everyone can pick up things from all of those different events.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
a really great thing. So talking about, we've talked about some of the topics that you guys are going to bring. What about some of the guests? Have you thought about any types of guests that you'd love to have on the show?
Well, I'd love to have Ryan Serhant, but I don't
Oh
know.
my God, you picked
Did I
mine.
steal
love his
yours?
books.
I'm sorry.
You picked
I'm sorry.
mine.
That's
now
okay.
I have
Oh,
to
his
come
books
up
are
with.
so good.
That's okay. You get to pick another one.
Yeah. But I mean, some
Yeah.
of these people who are really kind of reinventing how it means to market yourself, I think is going to be such a key skill going on and on and on. Advertising in the paper, your new listing in a little 1 inch by 1 inch square
Right.
isn't getting your clients the exposure they need, right? And it's also not helping you as a realtor develop your brand. What people like to do business with people they like.
Yep.
So the whole marketing yourself as well as marketing your properties is going to get more and more essential. So somebody like that would be my dream.
Okay, that'd be
Yes.
excellent. Have you got him on the books yet?
I don't.
Come on, come on.
Oh my gosh,
Helen.
that's hard. So there's this guy, and I'm gonna cut this video and I'm gonna send it to him so he can come to our show. It's Chris Benjamin. I don't know if you all know him. He is out of California. He has the best clever videos you'll ever see. And he was an attorney. He became a realtor. He comes from a family of realtors, and he is unbelievably creative, because I think part of being yourself is that creativity, how he's selling houses in a very unique way through video. And he has this reach in Southern California that is amazing. And he's built an amazing business over the last 3 years.
Oh, wow.
And so, Chris Benjamin, I'm coming for you.
I love it.
I'm following him as soon as we finish this podcast.
Oh, he's amazing. You're going to love him. He's one of the pioneers on a lot of these very fun, and it's more like film. It's not only about these small 30-second videos. He is the whole, like a movie type of.
Wow.
And it's incredible. And I know that's his secret sauce.
Right.
And every one of us has that secret sauce. I love that.
Is he based in Hollywood?
He's based in the East LA type of
Okay.
area, like inland.
Right.
So it's an area that obviously is good pricing, but there's so many realtors in California,
Right.
and you have to really, set yourself apart from the rest. And I think he's done an amazing job. I can't wait to talk with him. He's going to be awesome.
I can't wait to listen to it.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that. That's awesome. So I hear about all of these, the people you guys want to bring and who you have connections to, and I'm super excited because I know our members are going to benefit from that and picking up those little tools. And so you personally, as you guys are in the business and been in it for so long, the longevity in the game, right? You talked about some agents leaving the industry, but we see ups and downs, right? And so as it starts to, things normalize, they're going to come back, right? And people say, hey, and we'll get new entrants into the industry. But how do you personally stay motivated in any market and inspired in this industry, which is so volatile, right? How do you stay motivated personally, and how do you think that will resonate with our listeners?
Well, I started with mindset because a couple of years ago, I took on a sport. And that sport, which is triathlon, has helped me to really put myself in uncomfortable situations. And that way I can deal with any situation personally. So, I mean, I'm not saying that everybody needs to be a triathlete, okay? I'm not suggesting that by any means. But I am saying I picked this specifically because it gives me joy. So outside of my day-to-day, obstacles that we all have as realtors, because we're dealing with a lot of emotions and a lot of stresses from other people. I pick this to focus on myself first. I put the oxygen first, and that way I can be the best version of me to other people. So that's something that I really has changed my mindset a lot, because when hard things happen, I can deal with it in a more calm and less stress. And I can really kind of stop for a second. Instead of being like all dramatic, I just stop and say, okay, how am I going to tackle this? I'm not going to be consumed with emotion, because they're hiring me to eliminate these emotions and be a professional. And that's basically how I have dealt over the years. Specifically, I started in 2017. So it's been like 9 years now. And also I have a coach. I think the coach really is a check-in, they tell me, okay, you have 1 minute to rant. Are you done with your rant? What action items are you going to put into your business? And that accountability has changed everything. I think everybody needs a coach, whether you can pay for it or not. Come to the ARA and you will find a lot of people who will be keeping you accountable. Find that person, your pastor, your broker, your friends, your team. Find someone who you are accountable to, so that way you really push through those obstacles. And I think that is a game changer. I always had, since I started the business, I've always had a coach. It's a lot of money, but it's well spent, because
it's an investment.
It's an investment. And I'm a better person for other people, basically.
Yeah, it sounds like you're getting a lot of returns on your investment too.
Yes.
I love how you talked about some of the habits that you built personally that have reaped rewards for you professionally. And I think that's really important for our members to understand, like how, and I work on it with my team as well, just in terms of how people like to say business isn't personal, but it is. Who you are personally shows up in your everyday business. And so it's about, what are those habits that you're building? What are those things that make you feel confident, show up ready, feel charged, recharged, energized, have that kind of, cool temperament that you said you need when you're dealing with these business transactions. And you were able to hone in on those habits that made you get there.
I was full of bad habits, Karen.
I
was
right?
full of bad habits, and it really, I noticed all the big players, the big agents, what they all had in common. They had a coach, and they had good habits. And I needed to work on the habit part. And one of those was I stopped drinking alcohol a couple of years ago. And for those who know me, I was the life of the party all the time. Yeah. But that wasn't serving me anymore. It was not serving me anymore. So I decided I'm going to put this aside, and then obviously replace it with triathlon. But hey, it's a good vice, okay? But that really set myself to change other habits, because from there I started, and I'm not suggesting that everybody needs to stop alcohol either, okay? To each their own, but it was just not serving me.
Thank you.
Okay, it's fine. No
that
judgment.
Is your journey, and thank you for being
and it's
honest.
It's, if I can do it, anybody can. Because some people, for many years, I thought that I couldn't do it, but I did it, and it took a lot of determination, and I still struggle with it, because we go to a lot of parties, let me tell you, and it's hard, but I attach myself to the outcome of the emotion of being refreshed the next morning, energized, no hangovers anymore. So that really trickled a lot of other habits, like being consistent with going to the gym, like drinking more water, like eating healthy, because I am not famished for a burger to cover for that hangover that I had the night before. So it's a lot of those things. I think that one habit, and it doesn't need to be alcohol, it could be whatever. It could be going to sleep early, it could be waking up earlier, it could be 20 minutes in the walking. It's doing something for yourself that really will make you feel energized for other people. Again, this is the people, we serve people, so they sometimes drain you. So how do you recharge your body and how you become the better version of yourself is doing changes on your habits. And that for me was definitely that. And I'm still struggling with the sleep part, but hey, because I'm a night owl, from my previous career, I still carry that bad habit of going to bed very late. And then, so I don't sleep enough.
Man, what an incredible story of habits that can change and impact your journey. And I just want to thank you for being so transparent with us and our audience, because it's the reality to life. And when people make decisions that are hard, but you built those habits, you are like powering through, and you sharing that story and testimony is like more people are they're gonna be like, oh my gosh, like I can do this. I think that's really gonna inspire and encourage a lot of people to make some different choices.
Somebody in here, Glenda Baker was one of the inspirations when she stopped drinking. I'm like, well, she's open about it. I'm gonna try to see if I can do this, and then started figuring it out until finally a year and 2 months ago, I'm being completely sober. And so this is the first time I speak public about it.
Well, thank you for trusting us.
But this is the space, because I want people to know that it is achievable. Whatever you put your mind into, anything is possible. That's the slogan of Ironman, and I do Ironman, so anything is possible.
Okay.
Love it. Andy?
So for me...
Follow that.
Yeah, right. Right. Well,
everybody has their own story.
For those who know me, bourbon is one of my hobbies, right?
Yay.
So
and that's cool too.
The pandemic amplified that, but it's also that ADHD thing to just jump into something and learn everything about it, and it's just fun. But staying positive, right? Despite what's going on, I've learned that one thing is you have to be detached from the outcome. And as an agent, this is not your house that you're selling. It's someone's house. This is not your house that you're buying. And to get your emotions out of the way and to help sometimes the other agent get their emotions out of the way, if you can say to yourself, you know what, it probably is best that we're not going to buy this house, and have that ability to terminate a deal, to walk away if it's not right, and realize that it's gonna be okay, for that client. It may be something they have to learn in order to further their knowledge of how this works, because they don't want to listen to us. Yeah. They want to listen to themselves, and they got all these other people in their ear, and but it's their decision to make. And it was a shift for me. I'm trying to tell them what to do. Right. I'm trying to tell them what to do. What I would do is this. What I would do is this.
I'm the expert.
Yeah, I'm the expert. I mean, do you want to buy this house or not? And then, but I saw this great thing online, and it was this big circle, and it was full of blue. There's a little tiny yellow piece, and it said, "This is what you know about someone's life." Right. You just know this one little part. There's all these other things swirling around, and if the person is your friend, if it's your family member, of course that's a little different, right? Some of the other dynamics, but helping people make the right decision for them instead of for us really kind of freed me from a lot of angst and just worrying so much about whether we get this house or not, or whether we have to spend this money I can't get a pool vendor out there fast enough, or whatever, right? Yeah. It's like, here's the risk. The reward is you get this house that you love, or maybe that you're getting rid of this house that you have to get rid of, But detaching from the outcome, I think, is really key in this industry. And when I started really focusing on that, it smooths everything out, and it makes for both sides of the deal if you can just stay a little bit detached as agents.
Yeah.
And it's the most stressful thing people do.
So are there like some questions or affirmations or something that you say to yourself that kind of lets you reset when you find yourself or an agent or one of your agents in a situation where you see them kind of spiraling and you're like, hey,
Yeah, sure.
here, what are those things for you?
I would say, it's like, what are we really worried about here? What are we really worried about? Mm-hmm. Is it the money? Is it what are you really worried about is a big thing. And then, is there a way we can make it work? Because sometimes, again, it might not be your way.
Yeah.
It might not even be the other agent's way. It might be the client's aunt's way to make it work. But if you can just take a step back, is there a way to make it work? And then I've said a lot. Especially last year was pretty challenging. I felt like on a lot of different transactions for people, maybe the industry, Atlanta. It's okay. It's okay that this one's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. And a funny thing that as an agent, that this is several careers ago, was like, you're going to need money in September too.
Oh, yes, we all
You're going to need money in September too. So if they're not ready right now, that's okay. Let's just take a step back. Let's pause.
Yeah.
And they're going to come back to you if you're that advisor, if you're that expert friend of theirs or business advisor of them. They're going to come back.
Yeah, and it's okay. Like you said, tell them it's okay.
It's
and we
okay.
start again.
It's okay.
Like, is this? Yeah.
That was one of the best advices that I got when I moved to California is don't get attached to the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
My broker told me that, and that really changed everything because we get so emotional and fighting mode, especially me, Puerto Rican. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna fight with you.
Spicy.
I'm gonna fight with you. And I'm like, no, but kidding. I mean, really, we take it personal.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes you do have to fight for your client.
I'm always fighting, but sometimes
you do have to convince that other person why this is the best course, and it's yours, right? You do have to advocate for your client and get what they want. But sometimes you have to tell them, well, I mean, I think what you want is maybe not realistic.
Right.
What can we do to make it work?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and sometimes it's okay to let it go.
Yeah.
You're gonna need money in September.
Exactly.
I love that.
and I think whatever happens often happens for the best anyway, and for a reason, right? So if you're really meant to have this house, you're going to get it. If you're not, you're going to find something else. And it's really hard, right? How many times we've been there when the client is so invested, you're invested, and it doesn't come through. Right?
Well, we think with our expertise and with our persuasive abilities, and every realtor I know tries to get in first class when they shouldn't, and all these everybody we feel like we can break the rules, bend the rules, convince someone to do something, but sometimes it just doesn't work, and that's okay.
And we do all of this and get paid last, right? We are like the hardest working people out here.
Yes.
We are, honestly, we build communities, right? We are the backbone of building neighborhoods and communities, and we do all this work, and we have to have enough humility and be humble enough to say, okay, this one didn't work out, like you said, and I'm not going to catch a check for this one.
It's
but
faith over fear.
I'm going to work, and I'm going to keep going because September's coming.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a business of faith. I said it many years ago in a panel that this is a business of faith because you got to have faith. You got to have faith that the inspection comes out good, that the inspector does a good job, that the lender does a good job, that you can't hold everybody. You have to just keep it moving along. But it's really a labor of faith because at the end of the day, you got to have faith that everything is gonna is gonna happen.
And if it doesn't come out good, that we can at least negotiate a good outcome.
Yes. Don't get attached to the outcome. Yes.
Yeah.
Faith gets us there, though.
That's right.
It does.
Right.
So Andy, growing up, who would you say was your greatest influence and why?
So I loved Neil Armstrong when I was a kid.
Live strong.
First man on the moon. No, not Lance Armstrong.
Yes, not Lance. Neil Armstrong.
Neil Armstrong.
Forgive me.
Neil Armstrong. First man on the moon, all that. I mean, I remember we had to write a letter to our hero when I was like in kindergarten, first grade, something like that. And he actually wrote back and sent me this 8x10 signed, and it was just like, that was just
Oh, wow.
awesome,
That's
right?
so cool.
Yeah, I always wanted to be an astronaut, but sadly, I'm not. But, but there's always a chance, right? The more space travel costs come down, all these billionaires, maybe they'll turn into 100 millionaires, and maybe, one day it'll be regular. But
just like getting a bus, right?
Yeah.
Bus ride.
Yep.
When's Marta starting their service up to the moon, right? I
Sure.
mean, maybe we could do it then. Helen, what about you? Greatest
Well, we
influence?
have, growing in Puerto Rico, you have an extended family because your tias and your uncles and your aunts and everybody is an influence on you. Growing up, my father died when I was 10, so I grew up as a single child where it takes a village. So I had a lot of influential people in my life, whether it was my uncle who was a photographer, and he was the one who told me, go out there, you can always come back, because I wanted to study journalism in the United States, come to the mainland, and not main island is Puerto Rico, mainland, and come to study over here. So I was a little bit skeptical because my English was limited, and I didn't have that much money, but he was very influential to me because he said, you can always come back, and letting it go. Don't get yourself attached to the outcome. It's just letting it go and see what happens. I think that really helped me to come to the States with $500 in my pocket and make it happen. Graduated from University of Puerto Rico and then came to study journalism in FIU, and that's how I ended up in Atlanta studying. And being in television, in CNN. And so here I am. I think that influential. He was but he was a photographer for like 50 years, bless his heart, with that camera, always, covering different things in Puerto Rico and traveling around Latin America. So he was super influential. But along the way, there's many people who have influenced me to do that, push through. And it's really... you can always quit. You can always go back. And that fear factor of that's why I do triathlons again. It's like, okay, what's the worst that can happen? I can just not finish. You could also drown, but that's another story of fall from the
let's
bike.
look at the rosy side.
All right, so Helen's answer is a lot better than mine. Neil Armstrong, sure, but talk about influence, right?
Yeah.
My parents, my grandmother, my mother's mother was a huge influence in my life. I mean, your answer that's way better. Way better than mine, but I want to throw that in.
Influencers,
What
maybe.
you do?
Yeah.
How she influenced?
Yeah.
What
So
was-
my grandmother believed in education, reading. I read voraciously as a child. I was an only child, and so I read all the time. And then my grandmother, as a 10-year-old, she said, "Do you want a car when you're 16, or do you want to travel?" And as a 10-year-old, I'm like, "I want to travel," right? So we went to Europe, we went to China, we went, and
That's
even like going to the Grand Canyon, even doing things here, Disney, whatever. But every summer, she and I would take this great trip, and so that
How special.
that molded
Yeah,
a
that's a
lot
good
of
trade
my
for a
kind
car.
of world. Yeah, yeah,
It's a good trade.
right? Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
get to go to Switzerland, and they were the tours where the people are just basically telling you where to go and what to do, but still, it was, invaluable. Really,
She exposed you to all of that.
Yeah, yeah.
So how
it's
did that
amazing.
change your just vision? Because getting that level of just access and understanding the world, and not just understanding, but seeing it, living it, being it at that age, how did that impact your decisions in the future and how?
Well, I've never lived outside of Georgia. I never lived
travel
outside
a
of
lot.
Georgia, but I traveled a lot as a child, as a tourist, from 10 through 17. And then I worked for a couple companies where I got to travel for business, and just seeing that people are people everywhere, no matter what country you're in. People are just people, right? There's other places I want to go still, but I know that's going to hold true. No matter where you are, people get up, people have breakfast, people, do their jobs, and people are people, and they have their families, and even if, and also, Einstein has this quote that the world, you have to decide if you see the world as a kind place, and he saw it, as a kind place, and that's true too. No fear of the other as much in me, I don't think, as some people.
Right, because you've understood, you've seen, you've traveled the world, and you're
And
people are people everywhere.
And maybe it's just that I'm an American abroad thing. I don't know if people are nicer to Americans abroad than other people who travel from other countries to other countries, but it just had all these great experiences. People were just so nice everywhere.
Or you
because
saw
my
the
husband-
kindness.
Yeah.
You saw the kindness in other people too.
Because
That's
my husband's
important.
6'3", and we're Black American, everybody always thinks he's like an athlete.
Okay.
So they just start taking photos of us.
Oh, like
and
you
they
could go
ask,
somewhere else, you
yes. And then if we go to other countries, and
Okay.
they'll say, "Can we take a photo with you guys?" And we're like, "Okay."
What?
So and you're like, "Yes." It's just so funny because
That-
we laugh about it all the time.
Worked it? Have you ever worked it?
No, it's happened so much, especially in Europe, that we were just like, okay, it's just like, just they want to take a photo.
That's
It's just-
fun.
Oh, wow.
And then they said like, yeah, you're that athlete, and he's like, no, but okay.
Oh
You're that baseball player, and he's like, no.
Oh my gosh! Wait, pretend.
But that's a good, understanding, which some people don't know if you don't travel outside, and you think the grass is greener, or you think things are, maybe everyone's living in poverty, or you just who knows, right? You just have all these things misconceptions. And when you travel, you start, especially at that young age, it's really, like you said, people are people, and they're going to the grocery store, they're cooking at home, they're going to play outside. It's just the same in their culture. So I think that did change your outlook.
I do remember we were in China for like 2 weeks, and we got to Hong Kong, and there was a McDonald's in Hong Kong. And I remember there was a few other teenagers and mostly older people on this tour, and the teenagers, we just sprinted for that McDonald's. So I mean,
Like,
there is no place like home as well, right? I don't know if I could ever be an expat, but it's still pretty cool to see how other places do it.
So I took the car and then used the car to help me travel.
Okay.
So kind of
Okay.
reverse.
There you
But living in the UK is easier, right? Because you actually take your car on the ferry to France and then travel around Europe. So
That's so cool.
it was great.
I never tried driving on the other side of the road, so I just took the train or they got short flights over there too, which
Yeah.
are very inexpensive.
Well, I mean, living in the UK, and then even when I moved over here, I'd have to look at where other cars were traveling to remember what side of the road to drive on. And driving at night is the worst because there's no cars there. So that's when you risk driving on the other side of the road. So
Gosh, that's true.
that's a professional tip. If you're going to a country and you're landing there, go during the day if you're going to drive, so that
At
you're
least get the feel of
you're
it.
more acquainted. Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't thought of that.
Right?
And I wanted to say, I know that you said about your uncle saying just go and do it. It still took a lot of courage for you to actually go and do it. I mean, so many times there's so many people that don't get to achieve what they really could by not making that first step. And having that the family around so that you could go back to it at any time. I mean, that gave you the reinforcement to do that, right?
Yes.
But it still took a lot
Yes.
to make that step.
Definitely. I think I always had that opportunity to come back, but I wanted to live my greatness, and we all have that. We all have that greatness, and I feel kind of like that. I need to live up to that greatness that God give us all, and so every day I need to be 1% better. I need to do something better. And it's exhausting. Let me tell you. It's exhausting sometimes because I put a lot of pressure on myself. And that's why I have a coach. She says you have to also celebrate the achievements that you have, because I am always looking for achievement. I don't know why. I'm very competitive, but she also says you have to look back and celebrate your achievements, because sometimes you're always looking for that achievement. What's the next achievement? What's the next race? What's the next closing? What's the next step in your career? And it has slowed me down. Maybe it's by age, maybe it's my kids, but it is in there. It's exhausting. And I'm like, okay, I need to slow down a little bit and really pause and really take a look at what I've done. Because I want to always do nonstop.
Yeah, I think that's great. Every week, I at the end of the week, I write down 3 things that went well, and 1 thing that didn't, so that you can always focus on trying to improve it. By focusing on stuff that you've done, though, makes you feel really good about
There
the
you
week
go.
too.
Yeah.
But that skill set makes great entrepreneurs, right? Because you are always pushing yourself, and you are not willing to just say, okay, I'm going to stop here, but you keep going. All right, what's the next thing? How can I go a little bit further? That's where the success is. That's
Yeah.
where the great, business leaders are.
You translate those skills into anything you do, really. And sometimes secretly, I would like for my clients, even though they don't know what Ironman is, I would like for them to secretly know what I do, so they can attach that skill set of commitment, consistency, and that resilient mindset into how I am going to market their home, how hard I'm going to work for them. And that's something that sometimes I say, oh, they're like, you're a triathlete? I'm like, yeah, I'm an Ironman. And they're like, what's Ironman? And I'm like, oh, Okay.
Here we go.
I mean, it sounds like you just created your next marketing campaign. That sentence.
So, but you know, it's good. But at the same time, I don't like to brag about myself, you know. So I'm try to be humble, but you know, I like for people who recognize, okay, there was one client that says, if you do these things in 8 hours, because the races are 8 hours, all these things, then I can see how it could translate into how hard you're going to work for me. And that really fueled me. And I'm like, okay, this is awesome. And from then I started doing more races and whatever. But now I do it because I like it.
Wheaties boxes at closings with your face on the outside.
Okay. I see a whole drip campaign on like social media content. Running. Yep. You know, like the Nike commercials.
Well, you know,
Love it.
I'm 51 and I'm not afraid to say it. And not that many 51-year-olds do what I do. And sometimes I am very hard on myself because I wish that I could already be like, again, my competitive side. I'm already thinking, okay, I need to be on the podium. But now I don't do it for that. I've never done it for that. I just do it because I want to finish and I want to have the medal. The medal is a confirmation that whatever I did it for me. And I am the one that I need to satisfy that competitive edge that I have. That's how I fulfill it, is with that medal. Okay, it's done. You accomplished it. You came, you finished, you're done. So that's how I'm able to fulfill that.
That's such a great shift, right? You know, when you make that shift in life where it's like, it's not about the podium. It's not about the shiny object. It's like, did I finish? Did I, you know, and it becomes more so like, did I do what I was supposed to do? Did I check those boxes? Did I do this for me?
Well, because
but it's
always,
a shift.
There's always somebody who's better than you.
Yes.
Maybe it's because they've done it longer, or maybe it's
always.
because they just have genetics or talent or resources, or their best friend, you know, is a Mark Cuban or, you know, whatever, right? There's always somebody who's better than you.
Yep.
So if you're comparing yourself always, that's a tough place to put
Comparison
yourself in.
trap.
It's
Yes.
a tough place to put yourself.
It's like Simon
Yes.
Sinek's The Infinite Game, right? Where we're only in competition with ourselves. We're playing the infinite game, not the static game. So
Yeah.
So I think we've asked you some really easy questions so far, and I
boy.
think it's time to step it up.
Oh,
okay.
no. Okay, let's
Yeah,
go.
so-
Bring it.
What's your favorite food and place to eat? I know that's always a challenging one.
That's
for
challenging
everyone.
because Atlanta is just like exploding with all these. I mean, now I have this whole Michelin star bucket
Right?
list
Yeah.
to go, and the
exciting.
budget Michelin star list, right? Like, where's the best chicken biscuit in the city, right? But I do love a good steak, and it's tough to stomach how much steak costs these days, right? Especially out. But I love a good
And the bourbon.
I love
that goes with
I love
it.
a good
Right.
bourbon, right? But again,
They go so well together.
You have to have realistic expectations, right? You can't just go for the $500 glass of bourbon because is it really that much better? No. But I'll say favorite place to eat right now. There's this one Mexican restaurant that I just love. That's like in between Kennesaw and Marietta that we just kind of fell in love with it. And you drive by it, and the parking lot's always completely packed. And it's like, now, that place has to be good, right? So let's just pull over and check
What's
it
the
out.
name? What's the name?
El Corazon. It's on Bells Ferry and Cobb Parkway.
Oh, I know what that is,
Or not
yes.
El Corazon, just Corazon.
Corazon.
Corazon. Yes.
Corazon.
But I mean, the people are nice. The food is great. Every prices are the same everywhere, no matter where you go in that type type cuisine, and it's just awesome. And my son was like, we need to stop going to these other places and only go here, and so it's hard to.
There's a great place also. There's so many great places.
So many,
Mexican, and this is a foodie town. That's a hard
Oh
question.
yeah, I love the
Yeah.
Optimist. I love Marcel. I love those kinds of places too, right? But but that's not daily. That's not weekly. Those are special. But yeah, try to find that place that it's
Consistent everyday food that is so good. I love it.
Consistent.
it's a great place.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Consistency is key. I like Rumi's.
Okay.
Rumi is to me is the best lunch place because I love the food is always fresh and consistent.
Yeah.
Specifically the original Rumi's in Sandy Springs. But I love that I hear so many languages around. I love that place that is full of international people, and so I like the vibe. I like the energy, and the food is always the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Rumi's.
good one
Yeah, right.
for sure.
I'm gonna close it out on a real estate question for me. So if you have any other
no.
best place to people
where's
watch,
your-
my real estate
what's
question.
your favorite restaurant right now?
Oh, my favorite restaurant right now. I switch it up all the time. Ooh, like y'all. My favorite restaurant right
Or just
now.
what comes to mind?
I mean,
Oh, have you been in Nuevo Laredo?
Rathbun
where
steak,
you?
yeah.
Oh,
down,
Rathbun, yes.
the one on the Krog. I love Rathbun
Anything
steak.
in
It's
the around the
excellent.
Krog.
Just took my team there too in December. It's because they're only open like 5 to 10 and like Tuesday through Saturday. So close on Sunday, close on Monday. So you can only get like these, but it's so good. And I love that he's in there.
Yeah.
He will come and he visits your table. I don't
Kevin?
think I've been there a time and he hadn't been
Kevin
to my table, maybe
Rathbun?
only once,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
so good. So excellent.
Nuevo Laredo. That's the other place.
Nuevo Laredo is
Is
awesome.
Oh, yeah,
always
Nuevo Laredo's a
consistent.
classic.
Yeah,
This
I
is
used to
a
live off
classic.
the Forest Ferry, and so yeah, we would go over there.
That's where we go a lot.
That's a good place.
And it's always consistent. There's always a line. You know it. They're good if there's a line outside every time you go, and it's like, oh, I hope it's not cold, or I hope it's not super hot, because there's been summer nights that were like, waiting with. Now I don't drink tequila, but before it was like tequila 1, tequila 2, and you're still in the line for that Nuevo Laredo and taco. So yeah.
But a non-special occasion spot I'm going to give you, Le Petit Marché, is like a breakfast and lunch spot in Kirkwood. They're only open. They close
Where?
at like 4.
Where's it at?
In Kirkwood. It is
Okay.
a small spot.
been
It is
there.
excellent. The food is incredible. The people are amazing. It's excellent though. So everyday kind of spot.
Yes, that's a great place too.
What about you? What's your favorite place to eat right now?
Aria.
Aria?
Yeah, went there for our anniversary last year. Absolutely loved it.
That's
Okay.
Italian food, right?
Yeah, it's Italian American. I mean, it's a mix, but it was really, really good.
Oh yeah.
I'm
Nice.
salivating just at the thought of it.
Yes, yes.
All right, so I got one one of my last questions is, y'all are pioneers in the game, right? Y'all are killing it. What is, especially given today's climate, so think about
Okay.
today's climate and what
Okay.
you know from your experience, what is one piece of advice that you would give to a new agent knowing what you know now that you wish you would have known then?
Exactly what I'm doing today, which is be more involved with the ARA. I should have gotten involved a long time ago to find my tribe, because I went from company to company to company trying to find where do I fit in? Where do I fit in? And really, it's not really about fitting in. It's about standing out. But coming to a group like here, you have all different experiences from different companies. There's not an agenda, but really it's a community of camaraderie and expertise and people who have been here for a long time. There's presidents who have been brokers for 20, 30 years. I mean, you don't get that in even some of the brokerages. So I think if I had to do it all over again, I would have probably been involved more with the ARA a long time ago. That's hands down.
Love it.
That's good.
I'm so glad
That's
you're
good.
here
Yeah,
now.
sure. So I
Andy?
would say there's no quick fix, and automatic is great, and online is great, but I saw this curve, and it said when you first get into the business, you need to tell everybody that you know that you're in real estate. And then in the middle of your success, it's all this complicated stuff, SEO and AI and this, and then the super duper successful people that I know that sell 80 million, 70 million, 100 million, all they're doing is telling everybody they know they're in real estate. It's so simple just to talk to 2 or 3 people a day, every day, and they'll ask you questions. You can prove your value to them, and then they're coming to you rather than you trying to pull them in, or try to, like you're pulling them to you rather than just pushing yourself out, right?
Yep.
And I told a new agent last week, I said, she's like, oh, I've got this whole thing, I've got this whole LinkedIn thing all planned out. And I'm like, that's great. Of course you need to do all that.
Yes.
But you just need to call your friends and call your family. And if you only have 12 friends, that's okay. You don't need 500 friends. You can't concentrate on 500 friends.
Yeah.
But it really is like a relationship business. And if you don't build those relationships, it's so much harder. And it took me a while to figure that out. I was the same. I was just like everybody else. I was like, I've got 6,000 people in my database, and I'm going to send them this newsletter every month, and they're just going to start calling me. And that just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Right? It just doesn't happen. So you've got to just talk to people. A few people, not 50, not 100. Go to a networking event and meet one person. And if you jive and you click, then that person might lead you to 3 other deals or 4 other deals, and work hard, help other agents for free.
Yeah.
Network. Other agents are your best source of business.
Oh,
really.
yes,
Especially the successful ones. They're like, hey, you live here. Could you help my friend? Because I don't have time to do it. And you're like, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll do it. Right. And developing those relationships with other agents, to
Huge.
Helen's point,
Yes.
is key here, because you never know when somebody might help you and give you a piece of business that, yeah, you have to share it, but no.
What do they say? What is better, a grape? 100% of a grape or 10% of a watermelon?
Okay.
Right?
Wow.
It's like, or 50% of
Yes.
a watermelon.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
What's better?
That's
So
great.
it's like,
That's great.
I got that from Jay-Z.
I'm going to use that.
Hey.
I'm using
They say
that.
that he's like 100% of a grape or 50% of
That's
a
awesome.
watermelon. So, I mean, y'all, that was solid advice from 2 people that have been very successful in this industry for a very long time. So I am like, it's always good to hear those foundational things. That's like, you know what? Who am I going to call today?
Yeah.
Yes.
You gotta do
One
it.
last thing is fail. Don't be afraid of failing. Fail and fail faster. I think I wanted to have it all perfectly done, with a newsletter done, with a LinkedIn done. Back then when I started, there was no Facebook, so I didn't have that. It was a people business, but I wanted everything so pretty. The videos to be so pretty, everything too pretty, and then it's you get frozen, and you don't do. No, and then once I started saying I'm gonna fail, and I heard from my broker Sean Rawls, when my past broker, he said, fail and fail faster. And once I start failing, it's when I start growing, because that's when you start learning. And so I think that mentality of like everything has to be perfect. No, there's nothing perfect, really. You just have to just go and door knock. If that's not your thing and you fail at that, then fail at doing open houses. Fail at until you find whatever is your thing.
That's right. And what they call it failing forward.
Yes.
Fail fast and fail forward.
Right.
Well,
right?
that's the thing too. This business has so many facets. We've just touched on them on this podcast. There's still so many more things to explore. I mean, Neel did a land podcast. You're a developer. You looking at AI. I mean, there's all these things that are changing so fast. But even just the types of things you can sell.
Yep.
Right? You're never going to know everything, but you need to realize sometimes when you do need to refer it out, because you're not going to serve that client the best in some space. But you're like, you know what? This one, I think I'm going to give it a try. And you learn so much. And now you know it.
That's
about
right.
what it takes to sell a mini warehouse, for example.
Yeah.
All these things you had no idea. And if your clients trust you and you're willing to learn and ask questions, you can learn and get through the process, and then you're better for it. But, there's no way to know everything. It's not, and you are going to make mistakes, especially if you stick your neck out into something a little bit different or a little area that you don't know. It's inevitable, but that's okay.
But you're building these relationships and you're gaining a client for life. And we hope that you have learned so much today, and we want to gain you for life. So if you have not already, hit that follow button, subscribe button on whatever app you're listening to us on. Please hit that follow and subscribe button now. We want you to stay up to date with all of this incredible content we're going to be bringing you this year. Our 2 new hosts, Helen and Andy, are going to bring a wealth of knowledge, as you heard today. They're going to dive deep into all these areas and people that they have access to, and we're going to bring them straight to you. So hit that button. Leave us a 5-star review. We want to make sure we're showing up right at the top of your podcast app so you don't miss an episode. This content is amazing. We're excited, and really that Atlanta Realtors has invested in this platform to be able to reach you in ways when we know that you can't always come to an event, but we know you're probably in your car driving to a house, that you're going to turn this podcast on, and we can pour into you and share some incredible information that can help you grow your business. Thank y'all for listening today, and we'll see you next time.
All right.
Bye, y'all.
See ya.